Hello and welcome to SW6 Essential. I am joined by Joe Sansom. Joe, how are you?
Yeah, really good. We haven't really spoken on camera since deadline day. We've had a bit of time to recover from the first half of silly season. Obviously, got the domestic silly season now, and yeah, I mean we're back and ready to make more videos for a huge run of games.
As you can tell by the very swanky rolling title and the title up here, the tickers, as they're called on StreamYard, this is the platform we're using this season on Fulhamish YouTube. You would have seen yesterday that the preview for Sheffield United with Dom and went up yesterday, so we won't touch on Sheffield United too much because that's already been covered, but we will maybe at the end. But as you can tell by the title, uh, pay-per-view, project big picture, and incomings. That's what we're going to be talking about today, Joe. And we must start with actual incomings that we didn't really get to talk about at length because of the live stream. But it was Ruben Loftus-Cheek, it was Tosin Adarabioyo, and it was Anderson. I'm forgetting his first name now, Joe. How do you feel about those three?
Yeah, really good. I thought it was a really good deadline day. When we spoke and we did the live stream, that was when the news was first coming out about Loftus-Cheek and Adarabioyo. Anderson sort of came out earlier in the day, and he was the one that I was most excited about because obviously a quality centre back playing the Champions League, really exciting. Adarabioyo on a permanent deal. We thought he was coming in for about 8 million. We were talking about on the live stream because that's what all the reports saying. We've got him for about a quarter of that.
Yeah.
And Loftus-Cheek obviously is a Premier League quality midfielder that can give us another dimension in there, someone that can maybe give us a bit more attacking wise going forward. So all in all, I think it was a good day. Timo Baumgartel's move fell apart, and it looks like he's lost his head with what he's saying about. So who knows what's true with that one? Who knows why it actually fell apart? But good deadline day. Wish we could have got the deals done sooner, obviously, before the Arsenal game, but sometimes these things can't happen. And now, as you said, Sheffield United up next, and hopefully we can start betting them in for this game.
It's a huge game. It's Sunday, 12 o'clock, but if you want to watch it on, is it BT Sport or Sky? No, it doesn't really matter.
Same difference.
If you want to watch it, you'll have to you'd have to pay £14.95. Now, this is the, of course, pay-per-view scheme that the Premier League have now implemented. All the non-televised games in the original picks, every Premier League game is now televised, but there's a catch. If you want to watch games that are not picked, you have to pay a fee of £14.95. We'll call it £15. Joe, I am more than happy to pay 15 quid to watch one of the biggest boxing matches. McGregor. I remember McGregor fighting against who was it? Mayweather, and Anthony Joshua fighting. I remember Ruiz, part 1 and part 2. I'm more than happy, but if you're a big football fan like I am and like to watch a lot of football in all the games, you'll have to be forking out about about £100 per weekend if you'd like to watch all of them. Obviously, that's not going to happen. But Joe, considering our next 3 fixtures are all not televised originally by Sky or BT, we're going to have to pay £45 if you want to watch Fulham versus Sheffield United, Fulham against Crystal Palace, and Fulham against West Bromwich Albion. What is happening? Because we can't go to games. Some clubs have sold season tickets in which fans have paid for it and not got any refund from it, so they're having to pay even more now to watch these games, £15. And I've listened to a lot of podcasts over the last day, and it's not the broadcaster's fault. It's like the Premier League's fault because that's their price. What do you make of it all? I think it's it's just wrong. It's just wrong.
It's really annoyed me because I don't want to fork out £45 to watch those 3 games. Of course, I want to watch my team. Of course, I want to watch Fulham, and they're 3 huge games. But I don't think we should be spending £45. I don't think we should be spending £14.95 on one of them, even if the other 2 are televised. I don't think anyone should be spending this money. And if you're watching this video and you're thinking, oh, I might buy it, I might not, I say, don't buy it. I say, why should you? I mean, you're paying for your Sky and BT packages already. Why should you need to pay money on top of that? And I've seen the argument saying, oh, but you'd pay £15 to go to the match in person, wouldn't you? And I'd say, well, yeah, obviously I'd pay more than that to go to the match, but this is not the same. This is watching a match on TV with no fans when we literally can't go to the game. This is not paying for the whole day, for the experience, for being there with your friends, with your family, for making a whole day of it, a whole weekend of it. Some people, a whole week of it. I mean, it's just, I think it's pretty out of order that they've also used the excuse of you using the money to help your club, and it's almost like, well, come on, it's the money's not going to Sky or BT. Pay the $14.95 and help your club out. I don't think they need to be helped out. I think Premier League clubs are doing absolutely fine. I mean, they've just spent $1 billion, wasn't it, or something like that, in the transfer window combined out of the 20 teams. I think we're doing just fine. And yes, it may be a bit harder than normal years, but it's harder for everyone. And it's a lot harder for the teams lower than the Premier League. And you don't see any championship teams pulling together and saying, let's make fans pay for these. And the fact that they put them in the way, in terms of the organisation of the games throughout the weekend, where it was like how it was a couple of weeks ago, where every game's at a different time and every game's on TV. What that actually means is you've got, for example, on a Super Sunday, you've got your 2 live games where if you pay for Sky and BT, you can watch them. And then at separate times, you've got your box office games, which is almost encouraging you to go, well, come on, the football's on. You might as well watch it. Why don't you just pay 15 quid and you can watch it and you don't miss out? I think it's out of order, and it really upset me that Fulham voted for it. Well, I say voted for it. We know that one club has apparently voted against it, and that's Leicester, according to reports. So I'm very disappointed that Fulham have been posting all their stuff about, oh, we're all in this together. And it's like, we shouldn't be having to spend more money. No one wants to be in this situation. And I think it's really out of order.
I was listening to BBC Sound's podcast about this whole issue, and the way they explained it was quite simple. The fact that there was an option to basically, if it was either pay £15 or certain clubs would provide a service of which you could watch it for season ticket holders. So like it would be like FFC TV, but apparently Sky and BT, the broadcasters who pay all this money, the massive £5.14 billion TV deal, they weren't happy with that because they feel like their product was being too diluted, and it was I just think it's really poor. I mean, I would understand if they were like, pay 20 quid and you get these 3 games. I'd be like, okay, maybe I could do that, but £15 per game, and like I've just mentioned it, I love to watch every game, so I would really like to watch every single game, but I'm not going to pay 120 quid per weekend just to watch all 10 fixtures. I'll just watch matches a day in the evening. But especially when you want to watch your club in the biggest league in the world, having to pay extra. I love going to away games. I pay a lot of money to get trains and tickets, and then you've got beer and food and a curry when you lose, obviously. But I just think that £15 to sit on your sofa with your brother or your dad or your friends. Anyway, it's what's happened. I don't think they're going to U-turn it now. It looks like it's going to be happening. Let's get on to another issue. It's actually kind of been resolved. Project Big Picture. 14 clubs had to vote for it in the Premier League, but there was no way that was going to happen because 14 clubs would be badly affected by it, including Fulham. It was an idea which would take the top 6 to have all the power in the Premier League, and yes, they'd give the EFL this bailout money, which would be absolutely fantastic. I would love nothing more than to see the EFL being bailed out, but it would really, really damage the bottom half of the Premier League, which is where we are now. We need to be talking in that kind of context because that's where we are. And Joe, I don't know what your thoughts on this. It's obviously great that it's been resolved and it's been rejected, and Liverpool and Harry and Manchester United can move on with their ideas now. So, what's your take on it, Joe?
Well, firstly, I don't know why Man United trying to break away when they're
Yeah,
currently in
17th?
16th,
Yeah.
17th. Yeah, I mean, they should be battling us. They should be voting against it like us. But yeah, I mean, it seemed like obviously the EFL need to have some help. Otherwise, a lot of teams are going to go, and that's horrible. It's awful, and that shouldn't be the case. There's obviously a way they can do this without it being a sort of there's an element of greed to it, and it's a really big element, and it's almost like they're taking advantage of the situation to try and gain an extra advantage. And Rick Parry's quote, I think it was reported by the Telegraph, and he said, why should Huddersfield get the same say as Man United or Liverpool, for example? That was the example he used from when Huddersfield were in the Premier League a couple of years ago. And the answer is obviously because they are in the same league and they should have the same say. I don't see why... well, I can obviously see why they're trying to do it, but it's so corrupt that they're trying to make it that the top six, and I think it was like West Ham and Southampton, Leicester can, like, so 9 out of 20 teams can vote through anything. It's almost like it's already hard for any team that comes up or any team that's struggling at the bottom. You don't have the same attraction as the teams at the top. You don't have the same academies. You don't have the same money a lot of the time. And it's just sort of making that gap bigger. And it's like, if you want to have this top six sort of separate league, go off with your Bayern Munichs, with your Real Madrids, have your Super League, enjoy the money. Both makes you very happy. And it's just like, come on, leave the rest of us to it, because there's so much greed going on in terms of the Premier League and the clubs. I'm so glad that this got rejected. Yeah,
there was no way that was going to get passed through. There was no way.
No way. I mean, even if the top six voted for it, luckily under the current rules, you have to have a majority, which I think is fair and should stay that way. Should it be a majority of 14? Who knows? As long as it's a majority, I think it's okay. But
yeah, it really was. It was quite staggering when it came out on Sunday, and obviously we're now recording Wednesday night just before the England game, and I don't know why that's relevant. And it's been rejected. It's goodbye. Thank you very much for the idea, but we'll move on. And actually, I think the priority now is to bail out the EFL. There's a statement came out from the Premier League saying that they're going to prioritise the 250 million bailout, which is great, because obviously
it's great news. Yeah,
there are a lot of teams who are facing real financial difficulty, and they could hit the wall. I've been listening to NTT20 the podcast, and Matt Slater was fantastic when he was talking about it. And yeah, I think the clubs in League One, League Two especially, are definitely in some financial trouble. Joe, a couple of days ago, Congolo, I feel like I'm playing games with him because I keep unfollowing him and then refollowing him on Instagram. Yeah, he's back apparently for a medical at the old Motspur Park. Let's hope this time it goes well and he gets to sign on those dotted lines.
Yeah, it's Groundhog Day. I think the medical staff at Motspur Park must be sick of the sight of him when Terence comes in asking for his fried eggs. I mean, it's just one of those things where there were rumours that he failed a medical at us, then there were rumours that he failed a medical at Sheffield United.
Yeah,
we don't know what actually happened in either of those scenarios, but now it's rumoured that he's come back for another medical. That was yesterday. The fact that we've heard nothing since then doesn't fill me with huge confidence considering his track record. But what interests me here is if there is some substance to this. The rumoured fee is 3 million. And it shouldn't be forgotten that Huddersfield signed him for, I think, 70 million 2 or 3 years ago. And, I think he is a Premier League quality defender. And also, as negative as it sounds, and I still believe we can 100% stay up. There's loads of time in the season left. If we were to go down, I think he's not someone that, for example, if we went down, we'd probably not get Anderson back from his loan, even if we wanted to. But Congolo is someone that, along with maybe Hector, Adarabioyo, can step in there and make a really solid defence. So I think it's a really good investment if we do get him. And I think we should be taking advantage of the domestic window because it's open for a reason. If there's any holes to fill, this is the time to plug them. And the only thing about this is we already need, and I can't remember the exact amount, we were talking about this off camera earlier, that we need to let some people go.
Yes.
Already, even before any incomings, because it's a 25-man squad in the Premier League. which I believe we have to announce after the deadline closes.
Yes.
And I think we're already on about 28, 29. So there's players like Ken McDonald, Seri, Johansson, Fabry that probably aren't going to play. So I'll be letting them go. You factor in Congolo, you think, are we still in the market for an attacking player? We might not be. There's not been any real rumours, but while the window's still open, we're going to speculate that we might be, because that's an area where we've been a bit short so far. It just makes me think that it's going to be a busy few days. And if it's not a busy few days, and we've got quite a few people at Motspur Park training and not playing, and that's obviously not what anyone wants to see, because if they're not playing with us, you'd like them to be getting game time elsewhere.
Yeah, and especially when we talked about on the live stream about how we only have space for 5 loans. If someone comes in on loan and doesn't get in the squad, they'll be thinking, "What on earth am I doing here?" You assume that Lookman and Loftus-Cheek and Anderson be in the squad, a couple more, and I think it leaves Lamina a little bit isolated. But we'll move on from that. I feel like Said Benrahma to West Ham looks back on, which means Josh King is still at Bournemouth. I would really just go in for him, 15 million. Josh
King. I mean, there's a set price for him, and the only issues that I can see would be wages and playing time, because unless he wants to be played in a slightly more wide role, I don't think we can guarantee him first team football from the off. Like, he's not going to walk in and be our new number 9, for example.
No, I think he'd probably play in a wider position.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. Someone on the right-hand side, or if Lookman's playing there, someone on the left-hand side. Doesn't matter too much to me, as long as we've got someone there that's a little bit better than what we've currently got.
No, exactly. And I think that there's a chance that Chris Hughton's just coming at Nottingham Forest. Apparently he's interested in Knockout. I feel like the fact that we signed Knockout on a permanent and then send him out on loan to the Championship, I feel like those deals in hindsight haven't been that great. I get the Bobby Cordova Reed one. We had to sign him because he could be a part of the playoffs, because we just ended up playing Cardiff. It was one of those things.
Yeah.
But actually, in hindsight, that looked pretty good. And actually, he'll make a difference in the Premier. He's already scored. But in terms of Ivan Footchamps Cavallero, who's just literally been one of my least favourite players this season, Knockout hasn't got a look in, as we spoke about on Monday's live stream. You do feel as though we do need something better in the forward areas. Abu Kamara has got great pace and great energy, and he can offer us an option, but we can't rely on Mitrovic for goals. And Lookman looks a player as well, of course.
Yeah, and it's a weird thing, because I don't want people to just say, "Oh, yeah," in hindsight they don't look great, because at the time I wasn't unhappy when we signed Cavallero permanently. I wasn't unhappy when we signed Reed permanently. I was not very happy when we signed Knockout permanently, though, and that is purely because of the price. I don't think he's a bad player, but for the price, I don't think what he's given us so far warrants that in terms of performances or goals and assists output. I mean, he tries his best, but I want his best to be more than cutting in and shooting over the bar 5 times a game, to be absolutely honest, because I think I could do that. And I'm not very good at football. So
yeah, it's too predictable. It's too predictable.
It's too predictable, and that's why I don't think he's got a look in this season so far. And the fact that Cavallero starting on the right ahead of him says a lot, because he's not done anything either. Bobby Reed, I agree with you. I understand we've made that permanent. Versatility, can play up front, can play in attacking midfield, can play on either side of the wing. Maybe not the Premier League quality player we need, but a nice option to have, and one of the people that I think has stepped up in our Premier League games so far and looked dangerous, scored against Leeds, had one disallowed against Villa, and the only time he looked like scoring. And it's one of those things where I think, so that's 20 million. I'm going to take Bobby Reed aside because I don't mind that deal. I'm going to say 20 million on about roughly on Cavallero and Knockaert. And you think, what could we have done with that 20 million? And the answer is a lot. You'd have had Josh King with about 5 million to spare.
Chris Smalling, 20 million.
Chris Smalling, 20 million, quality centre back. But you don't bid, you don't get. And I'm happy with the centre backs we brought in. Congolo could be added to that, but I do think that those sort of not pre-contract deals, but loans with options to buy last season hindered us a little bit in the market this time by reducing the amount we could spend when it's already going to be tough financially. We didn't know that when we made the deals, but the point still stands that I think that we need something going forward, and I hope in the last few days of this window, by the time this video goes up, it will be 1 day to go, 1 day and a half to go. So, something might come out of the pipeline. Cantwell, that link's gone dead by the looks of it. I think Norwich wants about 25 million for him.
He's not off to Leeds even now.
Yeah.
Lewis Sibley.
I mean, there's a lot of people available. You see, like Buendia, Ben Rama's not gone yet, probably will. Josh King, Adam Armstrong, I've seen mentioned from Blackburn. And you just think, could we bring someone in before the deadline that can give us a bit more? Don't even know the word for it. I'm going to say oomph. How do you even say it? Going forward, at the moment it's Mitrovic. That's it, isn't it? Who else is going to score? Yeah.
Well, just a couple of things I wanted to say just before we go quickly onto Sheffield United. I would love nothing more than for Ivan Caballero to go to Bramall Lane and score a brace or score a goal, and I feel like, yeah, great. I don't hate these players. I back them, to the end of the hill. But if you're not behaving, if you're not performing, then you're going to get called out for it. It's a tough, ruthless league, the Premier League. Also, a point that people on Twitter have said, "Oh, we're signing Congolo. That means we're prepared. Like we look like we're preparing for the Championship." You've only seen Congolo play against Man City and Blackburn. He made a great tackle against Man City, and Blackburn, he came on and got an injury. I mean, it's so hard to judge him. So you can't really. Like, he played in the Premier League before, and also what I was going to say, probably forgot now. But we'll move on to Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. Let's just spend 3 or 4 minutes or so talking about this. Sheffield United have had a bit of issues with COVID-19. Now, we're not going to be rubbing our hands saying, "Oh, great," but it is a little bit of a bonus that they're going to have a couple of players out. And we're looking, oh my gosh, Joe, the excitement when we sent each other Sheffield United's fixtures coming up. If we were to beat Sheffield United on Sunday, they've then got, I can't remember the order, they've got Liverpool, Chelsea, Man City, and then West Ham.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. And West Ham, I thought, would be the easiest game, but they're on fire at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a bigger game for them than it is for us, and it's a massive game for us because they're at home. They've got to take the initiative, in their opinion. They've got to look at this game as one that they want to win. We've got the exact same point of view. Obviously, they're the only team that hasn't got any points, the same as us, and it's definitely a game where we need to get something, at least a draw. But we need to we need to go and try and win, because let's say, for example, the best case scenario is we beat them regardless of the performance, and then they're looking at their next fixtures going, where's the first point coming from, let alone the first win? They had such a great season last year, but it's a confidence game. And as brutal as it sounds, I want their confidence to be decimated. I want 3 teams to be worse than us, and at the moment it seems like they could be one of them. And it's a huge game, and then we've got 3 other huge games after that. West Ham, as you say, is looking a lot harder, but the 2 home games against Palace and West Brom, in particular West Brom, are just massive games. And if you look at these games and you don't put them in this order, which is the way I've been trying to look at it, because I've been going, oh, well, maybe we could get something like 5 points or 6 points. If you look at them individually and put them just across the season, you'll look at each of these games and say, this is one we have to be looking to win. And obviously you look at every game and try and win, but for some of them it's more realistic than others. And I think that this could like be the start of our season if we get this right. And I'm really hoping that we do, because I thought we played well against Wolves. And I feel like if we play like that, or hopefully better than that against these teams, that we can pick up points.
Yeah, and we've got the new signings to hopefully see, and hopefully they'll be bedded in. I'm excited. I'm not going to be paying £15 for it unless I get maybe a couple of mates over. We can play a £5 each, but I don't see like anything like that happening on the cards at the moment. Well, we've been going for 25 minutes, Joe, and I appreciate everyone who's stuck along with us. We've had a lot to talk about as we've had the international break, and then obviously the big stories coming out from the broadcasters and the project big picture. I keep calling it Project Restart. Obviously, that was the last project. Hopefully, the next project is Project Riverside Stand Complete. Because that is looking stunning, by the way. It's
Yeah.
in the preliminary, and I remember when we stood last year, River Thames, looking at the riverside and thinking this is going to be great, and it's looking very good. It's looking very exciting. Anyway, let's wrap up. Joe, let's quickly get a score prediction for Sheffield United.
Oh, I mean, I'm feeling a lot more confident than I was for the other games after we brought these new players in, and I'm gonna go for a 2-1 Fulham win.
I'm actually going to match you with that 2-1
Yeah.
Fulham win. It just popped into my head about a minute or so ago. I have this feeling that Mitrovic is going to score. Hopefully, Ruben Loftus-Cheek wins a penalty, and Lookman maybe takes or slots away. I don't really trust Mitrovic on penalties these days. He's not hitting them with all these conviction, apart from the one against Cardiff last season, the one against Leeds away at the Prem, the one at Leeds at home in the Championship. They were both pretty poor penalties, but they ended up in the back of the net. Anyway, 25 minutes we've been going for. So thanks very much. We will, well, I suppose there'll be a live reaction after the Sheffield United game. I'm not sure who's on the panel there. But anyway, we'll probably be back next week to discuss the Crystal Palace game and maybe potentially some new signings. So, Joe, thank you very much.
No worries. Thanks, Jack. I just want to give a quick shout out to Keith Fry from Canada, who's very kindly sent me this this Fulham squad photo, including George Cohen. So I just came completely out of the blue. I've been trying to find Keith on his socials. I've thanked him, but Keith, if you're watching, thank you very much, and it's much appreciated. Because me and Jack we're just making these videos. Obviously, it's Fulhamish, but we're just having fun. We're just friends that are talking about football. I was with my girlfriend Aya when I saw this, and it felt like we were getting fan mail for just talking bollocks about Fulham. So
the next video, I'll get a PO box and I'll whack it in the corner just in case people want to send us. Please don't send us.
We're gonna get Billy the Bee sending us some horrible stuff.
Oh no, not Billy the Bee. Anyway, thanks very much. This has been a long-winded video, but I hope you stuck with us because there's been a lot to talk about, as I said. Will there be an incoming signing before Friday's deadline? Doesn't look likely, but you never know with Terence around. Thanks very much for watching. Come on, Fulham. And, oh, please get something out of Sheffield United at Bramall Lane. Come on, Fulham.